Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. I am joined by a very special guest, my good friend, Will Wright. You might know him as Will Wright 06 on Twitter. He's got great Bears takes. He's got a lot of insight knowledge, and I'm happy to have him on the show. Will, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nick.
And so Will is an optimistic Bears fan like ourselves. Here at Just Another Year, we are optimistic sportsmans for optimistic sports fans, but we know what we're talking about most of the time. We like to keep it real. So Will, to start things off, we're recording on June 13th, 2023, the first day of OTAs, or not OTAs, mini camp. Sorry about that. But there was a lot of offseason moves. We're going to be better than last year. There is no doubt about it. Last year was not ideal, but everything worked out really well. What is your positives that you saw from this offseason? What were your favorite moves, and how do you feel overall about the coaching staff?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Nick, I was blown away by what our GM, Ryan Poles, what he pulled off. Starting with that trade with Carolina and getting DJ Moore. That's the key right there. He just got Justin, his Lamborghini. He just got, like, when you talk about your number one wide receiver, someone that can get separation, that's a bulldog in route running, that has a catch radius that, we haven't seen probably since Brandon Marshall or Alshon Jeffrey in Chicago. But when you look at the acquisition of what DJ Moore is going to bring to the table, what he did in Carolina with all those mediocre quarterbacks, and he has Justin Fields throwing him the ball, like, strap up. It's about to get real. And then you look at on offense, Nate Davis. He blocked for Mr. Henry down in Tennessee. We saw the holes he opened up. The acquisition of Darnell Wright, our first draft pick. Robin Tunyon, that's going to be a sleeper pick at tight end because he did some dynamic things when healthy with Aaron up there in Green Bay. And then Dante Foreman, guess what? He did a great job when he got the opportunity in Carolina behind Christian McCaffrey. And then you go to defense and look at those acquisitions. Jermaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. Look, those guys, Edmonds alone, he's about to make the secondary better. But the key, as we all know, is that front four. DeMarcus Walker, I think he was a great acquisition. I follow him in Florida State. And when he was with Tennessee, he had 7 sacks last year. We got a good deal with him. And I think that with the acquisition of Pickens and Garon Dexter, and Billings, because Billings he's a mountain of a man that's gonna really plug these holes. Because the thing that killed us last year was giving up all those yards in the running game. And of course, that made the pass suffer because a lot of teams, like when I watched those games against the Lions, when Jared Goff was play action us to death, and the Vikings was play, like, that comes to assist. That's gonna be ceased this time around. The only piece that we're missing right now, Nick, that once we sow this, that perennial edge, and I'm liking what Gibson is doing. I'm liking what Don Robinson is doing as far as working on the technique, but I still feel we need that one. I want us to have a rush package on third down that make these quarterbacks cringe. Because if you look at our schedule, realistically, other than Patrick Mahomes and Herbert, every other quarterback, to me, Justin is better than at this point in his development. Whether I don't care what the fan bases say, I'm looking at the overall body of work. They can call him a running back, but now he has a line where now we got synergy, we got chemistry, and Braxton Jones got stronger. Whitehair going to center, that solidified the interior of our line because now we get to get a true assessment of what Justin can do passing the ball. Because now I think you're going to see more anticipation because he's going to trust the receivers that he got, and I think it's going to be more dump offs to the running back. And then, like I said, with Tunyon and Cole Kmet in the center patrolling, I think our offense is getting ready to take off. And the coaching, Flus with the hits principle, like, look, like, everyone's buying in. And that's the key. If you get people to believe, we lost 7 games by 1 score last year with a mediocre roster. Think about it. Me and you could have suited up last year and been more competitive with what we viewed. So with a mediocre roster, 7, that's 10 wins last year if we flip it 1 score. And now the talent infusion that we have nowadays, I'm telling you, 2018, I'm getting those chills again.
And we have a kicker this time. That's the one thing about 2018 versus 2018. We have a real kicker in Cairo Santos.
Yes,
and
He got to tighten up
It's
those
tough.
extra points, though.
It does. So here's a flip question for you real quick. You raise a lot of great points. I think that the Bears have a great tight end duo in Tunyon and Cole Kmet. I think they're going to be dominant, both big physical bodies that can pass block, run block. They have it all. And also they're a threat in the reds or anywhere on the field. Tunyon showed against the Bears last year alone. I think he had 65 plus receiving yards. And while the Bears were up in Green Bay, Cole Kmet had 7 touchdowns in a 3 or 5 touchdowns in a 3-game span. So he can score touchdowns. So that's just one area right there. The offensive line is 10 times better than they were last year, like you said. The wide receiver room, Chase Claypool is going to know the offense. DJ Moore is the number one guy, going to take pressure off any other wide receiver because they're going to have to double team him, pulling the safety over. Oh, and the linebackers overall aren't going to be able to cover the middle because, one, Fields is going to have the protection, and they're going to have to worry about him running the ball. Fields has already proven that. And then you have Herbert, Foreman, and Johnson in the backfield that are all going to rip it up. I mean, you can throw Treston Ebner in that conversation if you want. It's going to be tough for him to make the roster with this room.
Yeah.
But this team, last year, they showed so much promise. And now that the coaching staff has the team that they want, Ryan Poles worked with them, the communication was key, this team is going to do a lot of good things.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think? Where do you think the offense is going to rank in the NFL next year?
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say it's going to be a top 5 offense. Because think about it. Last year, we led the league in rushing last year with over 3,000 rushing yards last year. So now, having that dual threat, like that's what people, I don't care how great of it could be Vic Fangio, it could be Brian Flores. I know he's the defensive coordinator in Minnesota. But when you have to plan for a dual quarterback, like that opens up everything. And that's what people fail to realize versus somebody just one dimension. They're going to drop back, 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, dropping the ball coming out. Like you can't say that necessarily with Justin, even though I know a lot of defensive coordinators, that's what they prefer him to do. Because I remember when we played Miami, when their coach, Mike McDaniel, when he was just running all over the Dolphins, he said, stop it. You need to stop it. At the end of the day, having that skill set and that intangible, and now he has an offensive line, like, I'm proclaiming, I'm manifesting top 5 right off the muscle.
So put it here, folks. Will Wright, bam, top 5 offense in 2023, 2024. And Will, you made a really good point because Fields showed all season long that he was putting in work. There was never a moment where you didn't see this guy either at Hallis Hall or on a practice field. He also worked, and the Bears brought Michael Vick into town last week to talk to him. One of the best dual threat quarterbacks of our generation, or my generation, over the last 2-3 decades. It's only going to get better from there. And Justin Fields is leading that way. He's almost broken most of Vic's records rushing wise, and it's only his 3rd upcoming season. He broke multiple Vic's records in his sophomore season, single season wise. But Michael Vick coming and talking to Justin Fields, no matter how you feel about Vic, we're talking about him as a player. He definitely helps bring Justin Fields that different mentality because he did it first. He's the one that set that. And like you said, having a dual threat quarterback in this league is it's common. Sure. Aaron Rodgers can, go run if he wants to, not the fastest guy, but with the skill and agility that Justin Fields carries is very, very rare.
Right.
And I wouldn't be shocked if they're a top 5 offense. I think that top 10, I definitely will put you there. Top 5, why not? I could see it happening. You raise a good point. Fields had no one to throw to last year until they brought in Chase Claypool. And I'll kind of put an asterisk on that because it didn't work out because he came halfway through the season.
Right.
He has 3 legitimate wide receivers now in DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Tyler Scott's putting on a show all offseason long the second he's put on the helmet.
Right.
This team could be super scary on the offensive side of the ball. And they not only do they have a starting 5 on the offensive line, bringing in Darnell Wright and Nate Davis, completing that offensive line, but they have depth too. Someone goes down. Lucas Patrick can go and play guard or center.
Right.
Someone goes down. Larry Borum knows the offense very well.
Yeah, right up.
Right up. The next man up.
Man up.
Will, out of all the moves, you said a lot of moves this offseason that made this team better. I'm putting you got to only choose one move. What is your favorite and why?
DJ Moore, hands down. Because
hands down,
you just said it earlier. The one thing that DJ Moore does he gives Justin a safety blanket, and he alleviates the pressure on Mooney and Claypool. Let me give you an example. Remember that game against the Dolphins? We were down 35-32, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
like he was scrambling, and he threw that beautiful dime to Equinemius St. Brown. And I'm like,
Yep.
this is what they taught us back in high school. You put that diamond up to catch it. And guess what? This is what St. Brown did, and it fell incomplete. He would still be running right now for a touchdown because the cornerback slipped and fell. Like the plays that he was making, that Justin Fields was making, he needed that one special player to be able to provide him, because that goes a long way with your confidence as well. And that's why, let's be honest, he did all the running, the scrambling, because he lost confidence in the support system. Not necessarily,
Yep.
the play calling or the system that he was put in to run. But if your wide receivers aren't getting protection, if your linemen aren't blocking, as soon as you say hut in a traditional pro set, and you got Deron Payne and you got Jonathan Allen in your lap because Sam Mustafa is getting pushed out the way, and Cody Whitehair, when he was at left guard, he was failing to pick up stunts. Like, that's frustrating, because we want to see if Justin can go through his natural progression, if he can anticipate. But how can you do that if your infrastructure is falling before you get the opportunity to go through your first read? So DJ Moore instantly gets separation, and his catch radius, he doesn't have one. Like, if you look at DJ, when I used to tell people that drop the pass, you can't catch a cold buck naked in the North Pole, DJ catches everything.
That's got to be put on a shirt. That's got to be put on a shirt. And then what does DJ Moore do? Bam.
That's it.
But you're right. You're right.
Yes. So and that's what I'm saying. That is why the offense is going to ascend to a level. I'm gonna go on record again, because everybody saying we're the only organization to never have a quarterback to throw for 4,000. Matter of fact, I think Eric Kramer might have been the closest one, either him or Jay
Eric
Cutler.
was the closest. Yep.
So at the end of the day, and Eric had Jeff Graham and Curtis Conway. So Justin has DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Tyler Scott, Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet, and then hitting Dante in the flat, hitting Rashawn Johnson in the flat, hitting Khalil Herbert in the flat. And we forgot about Homer, the guy we acquired from the Seahawks.
The Seahawks. The low key signing. Yes. He's a dynamic threat too.
He can pass block. He can catch out the backfield. He's a great special teamer. So that's why when you said Travis Ebner, unfortunately, he might stick to the practice squad. I don't see him making a 53-man roster, because at the end of the day, we got depth. And that's what I like what Ryan Poles is doing. He's created competition at each position. I'm not handing you anything. You got to come in and show me that you're worthy to be number one on the depth chart. And that's what I love, because we haven't, like, going in, we know who the quarterback going to be, who the running back going to be, who RB wide receiver one. Like, now you got to work. I'm putting the best 5 on the offensive line. I'm putting the best 4 on the defensive line. Linebackers. I'm creating competition at Terrell Smith. I'm creating competition everywhere. When was the last time that we can literally say that we've had this and be excited if someone goes down, next man up, and it's somebody that's capable of manning the position and getting productivity?
And it's nice not having a quarterback competition between Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, or Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. It's nice having a team that actually has a direction and isn't a competition at camp anymore.
And
it's a nice feeling.
We could just focus on integrating all these pieces together and creating something magical. And think about this, Nick. Everyone in the fold fits a 20 to 25-year-old timeline. So they're young, so they can gel and grow together. Because a lot of these guys that got 1-year deals, if they perform that 1 year, like Robert Tonyan, he get 500-600. We'll extend you for 2-3 years. At the end of the day,
and you'll win, and you'll be on a winning team.
And you'll be on a winning team. But that's
people going to want to play here.
Yes. And hopefully we'll get this whole stadium figured out whether it's going to be Arlington Heights or Napierville. Like that's the next thing.
I hope it's Arlington Heights. I purposely moved to the town right outside Arlington Heights to be as close as possible
Well, that
when
was a
and if
smart
that happens.
that was a smart move. But I understand the play. I know what Kevin Warren what they're doing because, like I said, if you go acquire some property and now it's appraised at 5 times what you bought, like no, I need some negotiation on that. So I get it. I'm gonna go talk to some other people and see if we can create some leverage.
I like Kevin Warren a lot, by the way. Just want to put that out there. But just a quick comment. It sounds like you like him too. I like Kevin Warren. I think he's doing the right things, going in the right direction, making the right moves for this team. And it's nice knowing that we also have a CEO and president that cares about the Chicago Bears. Yeah, and is not just looking for, and it's not an accountant at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, and not an accountant. And they're just looking at numbers, bottom line. How many ass sheets could I get in the seat? Okay, next year we were 5-11, but we're gonna raise the price point of 60%. So you want me to pay another 60% to come see some crap? Like, nah, it's not gonna work that way.
You're gonna draw the fans away fast, and you can bring them in. So, you know, Will, you started on it a little bit earlier. I only got 2 more questions for you, but this conversation has been great, and I hope you guys are enjoying. Please put your thoughts in the comment section below about what you think about this conversation, and make sure you go follow Will on Twitter. His link is in the description. Will, you talked about Justin Fields potentially being he will be the first quarterback to surpass 4,000 yards in a Chicago Bears uniform. What are you seeing from a stat line perspective for Justin Fields this upcoming season?
You know, people laughed at me when I forecasted that, but I said, look, if he masters this offense, which I truly believe he will, I can see him throwing for around 4,300 yards. And if you divide that in an 17 game season, that's a little around 230, 240 a game, which is easy to do. Unless we get a lot of bad weather where, you know, the conditions are just like the games last year when we had the typhoon against the 49ers. But I can easily see 4,200, around 32, 33 passing touchdowns, around 8 to 9 rushing touchdowns, and just total yards in its entirety, probably close to about 5,000. Because I don't see him running for over 1,000, but I do see him running, you know, around 500-600 yards and still providing that flexibility to keep a lot of these defenses on their toes.
Those are MVP stats. So are you saying Fields is going to win MVP this year?
I'm saying he's going to be in the top 3 with him and Mahomes and probably Burrow from Cincinnati.
I mean, why not? Why not Justin Fields? He got 1 MVP vote this year. He got 1. That's more than 90% of the league got. So
absolutely, and that's with very little support.
Very little support. I mean, it's so impressive what he did on the field, especially with what he was given, the attitude, the leadership. I mean, he is the leader of the Chicago Bears, and he is the face of the franchise now.
Yes.
So I love it. But Will, last question for you, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. We're going to have to do this more often. With everything that we've chatted about today, and I see that little whiteboard behind, and we talked about it before, what is your prediction for the 2023 Chicago Bears? Break it down for me.
I'm predicting 15-2. That's what I'm predicting. I feel another 2018 season. The only losses that I'm looking at that I can pinpoint on paper right now would be the Chiefs and the Chargers. Every other game, I feel that we are echelons above the competition. Like when I'm looking at the quarterbacks, I'm looking at, like we stated earlier, how many of the teams that we're playing are either in a full-blown rebuild or in a soft rebuild?
Everybody. The Bucks, the Falcons, the Browns, the Vikings, the Packers. Who else do we? The Saints, the Raiders. Everybody. It's like Oprah. You get a rebuild. You get a rebuild. And the NFL was like, here, the Bears can play them all.
Yes. And are you afraid of the Broncos with Russell Wilson? No. Like, are you afraid of the Raiders?
I think Sean Payton's overrated. I think he's overrated with Russell Wilson. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Russell Wilson is too much of an egotistic guy. He has his own desk on the executive level floor that overlooks everybody.
Yes.
You are not the GM. You are not the owner. You are not the president. You are the quarterback of the Broncos. Don't act like anything else.
Correct.
I'm with you, man. I am not afraid of the Broncos.
No, not at all. Every team we're playing, for the most part, is going through either a full-blown rebuild. The Washington Commanders, like, let's be honest, like, your offense is trash. Like, come on, your defensive line is good. Like when I look at the Arizona Cardinals, they're like, let's be honest, they're going to a rebuild. Like every team, with the exception of the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers, they're going through some form of rebuild, or they got some type of mediocre game plan that they're trying to elevate themselves up to acquire May or Caleb Williams next year. Because right now, Jimmy Garoppolo, they're saying that he's in danger of not even having a contract with the Raiders. So when you look at that, it's like, hold up. Everybody was clowning us, saying we had a running back, a quarterback. But when you look at all these other teams, like when I say they're in full-blown disarray in practically all the critical positions where you can compete, like the schedule could not have been set up any perfectly. And I'm not the lines are going to keep being the line. Let's be honest. We got to keep them out the casinos and off of online gambling to compete with us. Like I like Dan Campbell, but at the end of the day, I don't think that Jared Goff is the one to lead you to the promised land. I'm just being honest.
No. Kirk Cousins isn't. Jared Goff isn't. I mean, they're good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they're fine.
I'm gonna be honest. If we get a late break in here in the next couple of days that somehow Ryan Poles got Danielle Hunter from the Vikings, it's over.
The Vikings trade within division because they did that last year with the Lions.
Detroit with the tight end Hawkinson. Yes.
And they're not afraid to probably send somebody off. I mean, if you thought the Bears were a mess when Ryan Poles walked in, go up to Minnesota. They are a dumpster fire right now.
Yes. And I got insane. Minnesota Vikings fans arguing with me saying that, oh, you don't know ball and you crazy if you think Justin Fields is better than Kirk Cousins. I'm like, if you look at Kirk's always been a stat guy. But when I look at when it comes down, like you got beat by Daniel Jones at home in the playoffs. Like big games, Kirk don't show up. The reason, like you can't fault Justin when his receivers are dropping the passes. You can't fault Justin when he comes down and give you the lead and the defense gives up a touch. Like you can't fault him because the pieces weren't in play.
Yeah, and this is Will, I'm sure you've heard this one before.
Side, so when I'm looking,
nope, sorry, you lagged there for a second. Finish your thought. Sorry about that.
No, what I'm saying is a lot of people that are fans, they don't look at the bigger picture of what the organization is trying to achieve in real time, but also 5-10 years from now. Because once we build a long-term sustainable product every year in the draft, all we're doing is just plug and play. You know, whether we get 7 picks, 10 picks, whatever, but we're organically building through the draft. So now you got rookies on 3, 4, 5-year deals where you can supplement that defensive end through free agents. So you can go out and get a Yannick O, who just signed with Drew Rosenhaus today. So I'm really monitoring that as well to see what direction he's going in, because he could be a potential acquisition if we don't pull somebody else in before training camp. So, but we're building long-term sustainable pieces that can be augmented at our price. And it's not a fly-by-night business model. It's something that every year we're not just like a lot of these fan bases that are just getting hyped up just because it's football season, but we realistically can go and get that Lombardi every year.
That's the goal. And I think that Ryan Poles has put that all into play. He had success in Kansas City. Look what Kansas City's doing without him there, still having great success.
Yes. Ian Cunningham in Philadelphia.
Yep. The fact that my last comment for you, Will, before we log off here, is that the fact that Ian Cunningham was offered two general manager position jobs, paying way more than what he makes as an assistant, to stay in Chicago because he knows that something special is being built here, and he knows that it's going to be a special season.
Absolutely.
I know, and it's funny. One of my wins, so I've been saying 10-7, 11-6. One of my wins is the Chargers. I think the Chargers are like the old Chicago Bears, where they have the pieces to do something special, like the Nagy era Bears, but they just could never do it, and they always fold at the end. Khalil Mack's not the same player he once was. Keenan Allen, not the same player he once was.
Right.
Herbert is running through his life because he has no offensive line. His running back is out half the season.
Right.
His defense is all over the place. I mean, I know they made some acquisitions this past offseason, but they got older. They didn't get younger. They didn't get faster. They got older. They look
Right.
good for
Right.
selling tickets. They're going to
Right.
sell tickets, and that's it.
Right.
And I actually might be going to that LA Chargers Bears game in LA.
Okay.
And I think the Bears are going to absolutely destroy them in LA. I think they're because when they played them in COVID the first night at SoFi, Andy Dalton, they embarrassed the Bears on national television. And you know what? Justin Fields was on that team. That's where he scored his first touchdown. He hasn't forgotten. He wants to own SoFi Stadium now. And I think he's going to dominate.
I think so too. So you know what? I might be there with you. I went 2 years ago when they played the Rams that first game of the year. Yeah, that was.
It was the Rams. I'm sorry. It was the Rams.
Yeah, I went
Rams.
to that one. Yeah, and we lost, but Justin scored his first touchdown. Andy, he had a bad game, like 3 or 4 interceptions. So, you know, I think we're on the right path. We can realistically, like I said, on paper, it's only 2 teams that realistically that I just feel like will be a loss, and that's the Chiefs and the Chargers. But you're right, the Chargers could be a win. For all we know, the Chiefs could be a win. Like we might go 17-0. Who knows? Like that's the beauty. That's the beauty of these predictions in June, because ultimately, if we get these 1 or 2 pieces to supplement the depth and the deficiencies, then that is going to ascend us to another level. Because at the end of the day, if these players keep believing what Eberflus is putting out, and because Poe has created a family environment. Like I love the fact that he communicated with these guys and he let them know, like, look, you're not performing, so you potentially can be replaced, or you potentially can go somewhere else. Like he doesn't make a secret about that, because ultimately he's committed to giving us a product that's not a fly by night. So I'm excited, I'm geeked, and I think, Nick, this is going to be a special year, and this is going to turn the tide as far as us dominating the North, retaking Lambeau, dominating Green Bay, and figuratively speaking, outside of Philly and the 49ers, who's the third best team in the NFC? It's wide open. So I think it's going to be us. I think it's going to be us, really.
So you and I are going to have to check in a ton this offseason. I'm sure we're going to have a ton, or not just this offseason, but this whole season as a whole. Right. I know you and I got some stuff planned coming up here.
Absolutely.
And just for the first announcement, you're the first one to hear it. It's officially going to happen October 1st, Bears versus Broncos. Viewing party at Murphy's Bleachers in Wrigleyville will be hosted by us. We're inviting everybody. Bring your kids, bring your mom. I don't care. Bring everybody, because the Bears, we're going to have a big old party for them, and we're going to party like it's 1999, because the Bears are going to dominate the Denver Broncos that day.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's 9 days for my birthday, so let's do it.
It's a big birthday party for Will, too. It's a Bears win, birthday party, you name it, we got
it.
So
let's go.
So, Will, thank you so much for coming on. I cannot thank you more enough for taking time to come on for a little bit, and I would love to have you on again soon, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot more conversations when the Bears are entering Week 18, 16-0, and we're going to go, we told you so.
We told you so. Come on, let's go. It's game time, Nick. Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to many more.
Absolutely. And with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, joined alongside Will Wright, and we'll see you guys next time.